everyone, and welcome to another reading. Today we are on chapter 19, and I'm so excited. So without further ado, let's get started. Verse 1. Better to be poor and honest than to be dishonest and a fool. Enthusiasm without knowledge is no good. Haste makes mistakes. People ruin their lives by their own foolishness and then are angry at the Lord. Wealth makes many friends, poverty drives them all away. A false witness will not go unpunished, nor will a liar escape. Many seek favors from a ruler. Everyone is the friend of a person who gives gifts. The relatives of the poor despise them. How much more will their friends avoid them? Though the poor plead with them, their friends are gone. To acquire wisdom is to love yourself. People who cherish understanding will prosper. A false witness will not go unpunished, and a liar will be destroyed. It isn't right for a fool to live in luxury or for a slave to rule over princes. Sensible people control their temper. They earn respect by overlooking wrongs. The king's anger is like a lion's roar, but his favor is like dew on the grass. A foolish child is a calamity to a father. A quarrelsome wife is as annoying as constant dripping. Fathers can give their sons an inheritance of houses and wealth, but only the Lord can give an understanding wife. Lazy people sleep soundly, but idleness leaves them hungry. Keep the commandments and keep your life. Despising them leads to death. If you help the poor, you are lending to the Lord, and he will repay you. Discipline your children while there is hope. Otherwise, you will ruin their lives. Hot-tempered people must pay the penalty. If you rescue them once, you will have to do it again. Get all the advice and instruction you can, so you will be wise the rest of your life. You can make many plans, but the Lord's purpose will prevail. Loyalty makes a person attractive. It is better to be poor than dishonest. Fear of the Lord leads to life, bringing security and protection from harm. Lazy people take food in their hand, but don't even lift it to their mouth. If you punish a mocker, the simple-minded will learn a lesson. If you correct the wise, they will be all the wiser. Children who mistreat their father or chase away their mother are an embarrassment and a public disgrace. If you stop listening to instruction, my child, you will turn your back on knowledge. A corrupt witness makes a mockery of justice. The mouth of the wicked gulps down evil. Punishment is made for mockers, and the backs of fools are made to be beaten. Okay, you guys, so a couple verses that I want to look to highlight today. One is verse 8, to acquire wisdom is to love yourself. People who cherish understanding will prosper. You know, everybody likes to talk about self-love and self-care and all those things. Are you acquiring wisdom? As a Christian, that is self-love. That is self-care, not just mani-pedis and ignoring phone calls. So acquiring wisdom, that is what you should be doing. Verse 11, sensible people control their temper. They earn respect by overlooking wrongs. Get it together. Don't pop off. Pause. Take a minute. It's important. And then also it's hard to say you're representing Jesus and showing the love of Christ if you are not able to control your temper. So that's very important. And then another one, I wanted to say, verse 21, you can make many plans, but the Lord's purpose will prevail every time. every time. And I feel like you get to a place in life where you realize, once I've submitted my life to God, I can think I'm in control, but I'm not really in control. Like, he's the one leading and directing, but your trust can rely in that God is taking you to the right place, leading you with wisdom, leading you with his purpose for your life in mind, and being where you're aligned with his purpose is always going to be the very best place for you. And then another thing that I wanted to really bring up is, like verse 3, people ruin their lives by their own foolishness and then are angry at the Lord. Let's not blame God for our bad decisions, for not leading with his wisdom. There are so many things that have happened along my journey, and I learned not to blame God. Just because bad things happen, it doesn't even always mean it's Satan. Honestly, it doesn't even always mean it's the devil. Maybe it was me allowing myself to be subject to the devil's like thoughts, suggestions, and things like that. Just like Eve in the Garden of Eden, she fell victim to suggestions from the enemy. And you know, that could be what it is, but don't blame God for the bad things happening in your life. He wants us to live good lives. And one of the tricks that the enemy will try to embed in your mind is that we serve a God that's wishy-washy. We serve a God that sometimes wants to do good for us, but then sometimes will do bad for us. That's not true. God is not wishy-washy. He wants good for your life only. And so when things happen that are bad, it's not because God wanted bad things to happen to you. If that was the case, why would we be praying to God? What would be the point if we praying to a God that sometimes wants bad things to happen? That would not make sense. We live in a fallen world. And so because of that, there are things that the enemy is free to do in this world, and it is not a reflection of the heart of God towards you. It is a reflection of the fallen, sinful nature of this world. And then we can pray to God because we know he wants to save us from those situations. He wants to give us wisdom to navigate those situations. But don't blame the Lord. It says right here, don't get angry at the Lord when you live your life in your own foolishness. And so, you know, that covers the other stuff that I was saying too, but especially when it's foolish choices that we're making. And then there's something that it says here in verse 7, the relatives of the poor despise them. How much more will their friends avoid them? Though the poor plead with them, their friends are gone. And I want to pose you with this thought. So obviously, a lot of times we think of wealth and we think of poor only in terms of financial resources. But what if in these verses, he's talking about wisdom? Because this is a book about wisdom. And so what if it is saying that relatives of those who are lacking wisdom despise them? How much more will their friends avoid them? Because it would make sense to, in alignment with the other things that are being said in these chapters, it would make sense that they're saying, listen, people are going to avoid you if you are lacking wisdom, if you're, not seeking God for what to do. It says, though the poor plead with them, their friends are gone. So again, though these people that lack wisdom and lack the desire to be led by God are pleading with them, their friends do not come to them. I feel like looking at poor outside of finances and looking at it more in the context of wisdom, which is what's being discussed in the chapters in Proverbs, that makes more sense contextually, I would say, and it aligns itself more with how even later in verses we're told that we should be generous to the poor. Let me see if I can see exactly. Oh, verse 17, if you help the poor, you are lending to the Lord and he will repay you. Okay, so I feel like there we're back and we're talking more about finances. But so just looking at the context, reading the whole chapter in context, and then deciphering, okay, when is poor referencing finances, and when is it possible that poor is referencing someone that lacks wisdom. And so, I come to these thoughts reading multiple versions, multiple translations, looking up Hebrew, all these types of things. But yeah, that's what I would say. Ask yourself, is that possible? Concerning, like I said, verses 7 and then going into verse 17, just looking at what's being said there and then looking at the context that we've been given and the things that have been said concerning poor, concerning wealth, and even, again, is it always seeming like it's surrounding financial wealth, or are we talking about wisdom in some of these verses? Let me know in the comments. I love when you guys share your translations, what some of the different words are saying. So yeah, I'm happy that you guys joined me for today's reading. Remember, same place, same time tomorrow, 7 p.m. South Africa time, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the U.S. I pray that you guys are blessed and being filled with wisdom as we continue to read the entire book of Proverbs. We will be on chapter 20 tomorrow. All right, so that's all for today. Love you guys. Peace.